thrilled to be here. I'm honored to be here. I want to thank the entire team, Damian, but the entire team for the invitation. It's my first time in Chile, and probably not the last. I've been here only for 48 hours, and so far I had an incredible experience. So my name is Myriam Achard, and I'm coming from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I run a space in Montreal called Phi, and what I would like to do with you today is really to walk you through our entire ecosystem. Because yes, we have the Phi Center, we are also producing content, but it's more than that. So if it's okay with you, I'll walk through the entire ecosystem, and then we will dive into immersive production and immersive distribution. I'm going to go on the side because I don't want you to look at me, I want you to look at the images. So maybe it's going to be in 3 chapters, a brief panorama of Phi's history and evolution, the growth of the XR industry over the years, and the story of Phi Studio as a catalyst for innovation and creation within the industry and the arts community. So, what is Phi? Phi was created by Phoebe Greenberg, our founder and chief creative officer, in 2007. The first gesture that Phoebe did in Montreal was the opening of a foundation for contemporary art. It used to be DHC Art, and now it is called Phi Foundation for Contemporary Art. The mission of the foundation is really to bring artists from all over the world, like major contemporary artists, to the Montreal audience. So in 2007, we opened, so it's been now 18 years. And over the 18 years, we brought the works by, and I'm not going to name them all because we did over 40 exhibitions, but major names like Ryoji Ikeda, Kusama, Yoko Ono, Chapman Brothers, Christian Marclay, really big name from the contemporary art world, and everything we are doing at the foundation is free access. Free access to the exhibition, free access to the film screenings we would do, for instance, at the foundation, free access to panels, artist talks. So that was the first gesture that brought Phi to Montreal. In 2012, we opened the Phi Center. Beautiful building located in Old Montreal. Who's been to Montreal? Okay, a couple of people. So both our institutions are based in the old part of Montreal. So this is the Phi Center, opened in 2012, and the Phi Center is really our entity, our institution that is dedicated to present exhibitions, experiences that are at the intersection between art and technology. So we've been, for instance, presenting virtual reality experiences for over 10 years. Now everybody is talking about virtual reality. We were pioneer. We started, as I said, in 2013, 2014. So all the mission of the Phi Center is really to test the boundaries of technology, to play with technology, to fail sometimes, and it's okay to fail. Virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, projection, sound immersion, name it, we tried. We also have, we do a lot of concerts also, that's important for us, music, but it's really mainly art and technology. 2019, we launched the Phi Studio. The studio is really our entity that is producing content. It was really important for us because at the center, before launching the Phi Studio, we were only presenting works from other artists. And we were like, well, why not us? So we started with a very ambitious project, actually, an experience that is called The Infinite. And The Infinite is a virtual reality experience that takes the audience in virtual reality onto the International Space Station, because we do have VR camera on the ISS. It's a project that we launched with our partners Felix and Paul Studio, pioneers in the virtual reality world. and it was really a big success. The Infinite can welcome, and I'm just going because I'm looking at Damian because I know he wants to talk about money and he wants to prove that there is, like a business model. So the Infinite is an experience that can welcome, in the big version, up to 175 people an hour in virtual reality. So if you make the maths, there's a model. So the Infinite was launched in Montreal in 2021. We were still in pandemic, as you can remember. And even though we were in pandemic, in 4 months, we welcomed in Montreal 75,000 visitors, which was big success. After Montreal, the Infinite went to Houston, Texas, where the NASA is, made total sense, like as a next city. Then we went to Seattle, we went to San Francisco, we went to Dallas. Currently, we are nowhere, but we are in negotiation with other cities. We went to Vancouver also, sorry. So the Infinite is really mainly toured in North America. Also went to China, Singapore, never to Latin or South America, never to Europe yet, but we're working on it. The other works that you are seeing here, this is the Infinite that we co-produced. I want to talk about that piece because it's really important. It's a piece that is called Carne y Arena, directed by Alejandro Inarritu, a Mexican filmmaker that you probably all know. It's a virtual reality experience that was launched in the Cannes Film Festival in 2017. And to this day, this experience is for me one of the strongest and the more moving experience I've been through. And I see a lot of virtual reality. I travel the world to see VR. I'm chasing VR. But this one, even 8 years later, is still the most powerful VR experience that as I said, that I went through. And it's just in the short story, it's putting you in the shoes of migrants that are trying to cross the border between Mexico and the US, and what happens to them in the desert. It's incredible. So we didn't produce it, but we are distributing it. And we brought it to Canada, we brought it to the US, and also to Europe, actually to Spain a couple of years ago. So we are producer, but we are also distributor. And I think that's also important in the conversation we're gonna be having today. This is a pop-up we did in Venice in 2018 or 19, where we brought some virtual reality experience to Venice during the Contemporary Art Biennale, but also during the film festival, just to raise awareness about Phi, and honestly, it was really worth it. I'll come back to what we produced after, but it was just to give you an overview of what we are doing at the studio. Next for us. So I told you we have a foundation for contemporary art, we have the Phi Center, we have Phi Studio. What I didn't say is that we also have residencies, residency in music, residency in contemporary art, and residency in immersive. But the big next project for us is a new venue. And it's gonna be called Phi Contemporary in Montreal. It will be opening in 2029, and it actually will allow us to bring under one roof what we are currently doing in two different institutions. And that we don't have to separate anymore contemporary art and technology. It's just gonna be about art. And sometimes it will be heavy on tech, sometimes less. So this is the current situation, the current building, how it looks like now. It's actually 4 different houses, and behind that there's a parking lot on which we will construct another building. We did an international architecture competition. We had 65 candidates from all over the world that apply for the project, and the winners is this project. So it's an office from Berlin, Kuhn Malvesi, and a Montreal-based architect that came together And they were like, the jury thought they had the best project, and I also think this is the best project. So it's going to be opening in 2029, hopefully. You never know with constructions. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes less. But this is going to be our new home in 4 years from now, a bit less. And it's really going to be, as I said earlier, we don't want to have to separate anymore. We really want to speak about art and not to have to say this is contemporary art or this is art and tech. To us, it's really art. And yes, technology is going to be very present sometimes less. For us, technology is used really to tell stories, to enhance stories. It's not about technology, it's about storytelling, but the technology is there to facilitate the storytelling. So this is really Phi as an overview. What I'm going to show you now is a trailer of what we've been producing as a studio. I think it's important because we are here also to speak about that. You're going to see in the trailer that we were present. Yes, we are present in Montreal, but we did exhibition, as I said, in Venice. We did exhibition in Asia. We did exhibition in different spaces in the US. It will give you a nice overview, I think, about what we do. Bit of an overview of the type of work, we are either presenting in Montreal or producing or co-producing. Maybe you saw it goes quick, I know the trailer, so maybe you didn't get to see everything, but for us, it's really important the way exhibitions and experiences are presented. Context is highly important. It's not just a few chairs and a few VR headsets. Doesn't work for us. I have to say that what I saw earlier this morning, where you have the smaller exhibition, it's beautifully done. And this is really important because you only have one chance to make a good impression. And if somebody enters a room and it's, there's a nice set design, a nice decor, it prepares the audience for what they're about to see for a VR headset. This is very important. I talked to you about the infinite. What I didn't say earlier maybe is that, yes, or maybe I said it, I don't know. So the first, it was launched in 21, and to this day, we welcomed over 500,000 visitors through the infinite in different cities where we were present. Again, coming back to the model, the business model, there is a business model for virtual reality, location-based VR. There is a momentum right now also with immersive expedition. I spoke about the fact that we are producing works, we are also distributors of content. So we are not only distributing our own content, we are distributing others' content. So to give you an example, we made a deal with a French studio called Excurio. They used to be called Immersive, they changed their name, they are now called Excurio, and we are we are distributing their content in Canada and also in the US. They are doing what we call immersive immersive expedition. The first piece that we presented by them in Montreal was called Horizon of Khufu. So it's a voyage, a trip to the pyramids. I told you great numbers about the infinite. Horizon of Khufu is unbeatable. In 8 months in Montreal, we welcomed 250,000 visitors for a VR experience. And Montreal is not London, Montreal is not Paris, Montreal is not New York. Montreal is you know, like a medium-sized city. So to welcome 250,000 visitors for one experience is in 8 months was for us a revelation. That's where we thought, okay, we are on something. We should keep on, you know, like doing a lot of distribution. So Horizon of Khufu is currently presented also in Edmonton, in Calgary. I have a team right now in Chicago because we are having a press conference today where we are opening a new venue in Chicago also with that type of content. So we're really trying to map, you know, at least North America. I don't want to say the world because this would be a bit pretentious, but at least, you know, like we want to make our mark in Canada, in North America. Excurio are also producers of content like Life Chronicles, One Night with the Impressionists, which is a piece that they developed with Musée d'Orsay in Paris. They are working on Horizon of Khufu #2. So we really are making partnerships with them to distribute their content. What else can I say? As a studio, we are seeking collaborators, we are seeking co-producers, because we don't want to be producing works alone. I always say, you know, like it's a bit like when you see a kid in the sandbox alone, it's a bit sad. So we are that kid in the sandbox. We want other kids to come and play with us. The different works we co-produced are, yes, with local producers, but we also co-produced with partners in Luxembourg, in France, in Greece, in Taiwan, and hence my role as a curator, but also as I'm doing partnership internationally, is really to find the right collaborators. And to me, it's really exciting to be here because normally, it's always the usual suspects. You know, I go to different events, I always see the same people. That's great, but that's not enough. So we want to meet, you know, we want to meet new partners, we want to meet new collaborators. I had great meetings this morning, and I'm really looking forward to new meetings tomorrow to understand also the ecosystem here in Chile, because I'm sure there's a lot to do together. Actually, it was announced, it's not a secret anymore. So this morning, the Venice International Film Festival, the Mostra, announced its newest selection of immersive works that will be taking place in Venice at the end of the summer. And actually, our newest production is selected in official competition. It's a co-production between Canada, Taiwan, and Greece. Jazia here, representing Onyx Onassis, is one of our partners. So I just want to show you a trailer. It's weird, but we like it weird. Can we launch the other trailer, please?
It's easy to get lost sometimes. To lose yourself. The movement from here to there. And now. And then. Stillness.
So Blur will, actually the world premiere was in Taiwan in March at the Taiwan National Theatre. It will be, as I said, it will be presented in Venice later this summer as international premiere. And we are I mean, I was in Avignon last week to, meet theaters and trying to find a distribution channel for that piece, because that piece is really a proposition that is at the intersection between performing arts and technology. I had a meeting earlier this morning, and I don't know if they are in the room, where I was saying there is a momentum right now where there's a lot of interest from theaters, traditional theaters, to open up their programming, and they're very open to technology. It will be presented in Montreal next year. Maybe it will come to Chile, who knows? So yeah, it's really, Phi is really, I think, and I say that in a very humble way, I think our proposition is unique. Not only do we have physical institution to present works, we have a studio to produce work, we have a team that is doing distribution, and we are open to the world. And this is really what we love to do, connecting, networking. I mean, Damian and myself, we bumped into each other in different events in the world, and that's what we thrive, that's what we love to do. It's really about connection. So far, we produced a lot of virtual reality. We are moving also into other form of technology. We are going to be producing something in augmented reality. Blur is actually a mixed reality experience. Sometimes you are fully immersed in virtual reality. Sometimes you are in mixed reality. There is an actress. So it's a very different proposition from the rest of the work we've been doing so far. We are also very interested by sound immersion. This is for us also something very, very interesting. We have a permanent room in the Phi Center dedicated to sound immersion experiences. For a lot of people, sound is not really immersive, and we go like, no, because you didn't have the right experience. So we really do a lot of R&D and tests about sound, because it's really important. Projection. Also, one of our newest project is about projection mapping. So yeah, we test, and so there is a business model for those in the room, for artists that are wondering, like, is there a business model for XR, for VR? I say yes. You just need to find the right format, for sure. It's an incredible. I mean, technology is an incredible vehicle to tell stories. It's can be really powerful, but it should not be about technology. It should be first about the story, about the storytelling, and as I said, the technology is there just to enhance the way you tell stories. I would love to welcome you in Montreal one day, if you're coming, and to show you our ecosystem. I think Damien and I, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation, but if you have questions, I'd love to answer them, and I hope you learned a little bit and that you're curious, and please don't hesitate to ask questions. Muchas gracias.
Para nosotros es muy interesante ver que existe todo un sistema de producción, de distribución y de exhibición de realidades inmersivas, de realidades extendidas. Lo primero que quisiera saber es de quién fue la idea y cómo surgió la idea de hacer un centro inmersivo. ¿Es privado? ¿Es público? ¿Cómo surge la decisión y el riesgo de hacer algo tan especial?
So I briefly spoke about our founder and chief creative officer at the beginning. Her name is Phoebe Greenberg, and it's really her vision. I've been working with Phoebe for 18 years. When she first, actually 19 years, when she opened the foundation, at the beginning it was only about contemporary art. There was no idea to work with technology. Probably she didn't know at that time what virtual reality was, neither I. But it was really, her passion was contemporary art. And this was and is a private foundation. So Phoebe is a philanthropist, and that was her way, to give back to the city of Montreal, because she was able to. And then after a few years, where the foundation was running and it was quite a big success, she said, well, okay, I gave a home to contemporary art, but what about the rest, the other forms of art? What about music? What about theater? She's coming from the theater world. What about cinema? And that's where she said, well, I'm going to open a new venue. And that technology was not there yet. We opened the Phi Center, and in the first year, we bumped into Felix and Phi Studio, who are really pioneer in the VR world. They gave us a VR headset. We went through their first experience, both of us. We removed the handset, and then we went like, that's it. This is what we want to do. I should say this is what she wants to do because it's her project. And it became really clear that this second home would be dedicated to art and technology. And again, coming back to what I said earlier, not technology for the sake of technology, but technology for the sake of stories. So it's mainly private funded, but we are also having public funding. We're very fortunate in Quebec, in Canada, to have access to public funding from the governments. So there's a nice balance between private funding and also public funding.
Cuando analizan un proyecto nuevo, el hecho de que pueda llegar a ser equilibrado económicamente, que pueda llegar a ser un buen negocio o que vaya a pérdida, ¿es lo que define también el proyecto? ¿Cuánto define la potencialidad económica de un proyecto artístico que ustedes lo produzcan y lo exhiban?
So the studio, the entity that is producing and distributing, has a responsibility of generating revenues. So yes, when we are deciding to go forward with a production, a co-production, of course the economic model is very important. But it's not only that. It has to be a fit with us. You know, it has to be, for instance, it's really important for us, social justice, social impact. So this is also, it's important in the decision we are making. Not only about money or business model, but we keep some projects that I would say passion projects that makes no sense financially, but that are very dear to our heart. Blur, that you've seen. Blur can welcome, Jazia, you're laughing because you know. Blur can only welcome 10 people every 50 minutes, 50. So forget about the business model. But it was such an important subject, such an important project for our founder that she decided, well, we'll do it. And then we'll do, of course, other projects that will generate revenues. So we keep always one or two projects on the side that, as I said, we call passion project or experimental projects. And then we also do mainstream. So we try to find a balance. But we have a responsibility, of course, to generate revenues also.
Bien, vamos a abrirnos ahora a preguntas del público. ¿Hay preguntas? Acá tenía una el señor Magia. ¿Alguno más por ahí? Bien, ahí vamos. Cuando te pregunto por modelo de negocio, no es porque esté obsesionado por el dinero, es porque nosotros queremos vivir de lo que nos gusta hacer, porque es vocacional. Muchos de aquí son artistas, productores, y aquí casi no hay fondos. En la región hay muy pocos fondos. Entonces, a diferencia de Francia, por ejemplo, no tenemos esos recursos. Entonces, encontrar un modelo, saber que si uno va a pensar una idea, puede funcionar económicamente y es más factible que podamos vivir de ese trabajo, es muy importante al momento de decidir qué hacer. Por eso es muy interesante también el modelo de Centro Phi. Vamos con las primeras preguntas del público, entonces, por acá.
Maybe just before you ask your question, I think that it's very important what you just said, and I know we are fortunate in Canada to have access to like public funding, like France also, and there's not many countries. I realize that has access to that much funding. So yes, it is important when you are thinking about your project. Of course, like the economical model is really important.
Quería preguntarte en tema, siguiendo la línea de Damián, cuando ustedes analizan un proyecto para ir a coproducción, en el entendido, por ejemplo, que quizás Grecia no tiene tantos recursos, si bien puede obtener recursos de la Unión Económica Europea. Luxemburgo tiene más recursos. Pero en general, ¿cómo se hace ese análisis pensando en proyectos del sur? Es decir, estructuras que por lo general no van a poder acceder a un financiamiento público relevante, quizás financiamiento privado. Y en el caso de ustedes, si ese mix que me hablaba de financiamiento es para la estructura de ustedes de Phi o es para los proyectos. Vale decir, si ustedes inyectan private equity y public funding para los proyectos en sí. Entonces, es saber, pensando cómo los proyectos del sur tienen o no tienen posibilidad de poder colaborar en este ecosistema para que se lleven a cabo.
One of the reasons why I'm here actually is to understand, how it works and how we could potentially collaborate. We've never collaborated with Latin America or South America, and I'm learning a lot by being here. And I'm really aware that, as I said earlier, like we're very fortunate in Canada and like with public funding. So the way we would, if we do a partnership together, for instance, of course the money you would bring to the table wouldn't be to finance the structure, it would be to finance a project. It's really about the project and then see how we could collaborate. I mean, if it's a co-production, we would expect that you bring some money to the table, for sure, but also some knowledge. It's not only, about how much money can you bring to the table, but it's about the knowledge you can bring and your artistic vision, for instance. If you come to us with a project we love and we say, okay, let's do it, then it's really not only about, okay, like let's tell me how much you can put on the table. It's really about this exchange and collaboration and opening. But again, it's the first, we've never been, and for me it's really interesting to talk to all those creators I did this morning and tomorrow morning to understand what's possible.
Hola, mi nombre es Nicole, yo soy asesora de proyectos creativos audiovisuales. Con foco estuve de reunión contigo en la mañana y me llamó mucho la atención que la programación la tuvieran a 2 años, pero la pregunta clave ahora que me gustaría para que compartieras esa experiencia es conocer más sobre las experiencias del centro en relación a la participación del público. ¿Ya? ¿Qué estrategias han sido claves para atraer y mantener esa audiencia amplia y diversa en sus exposiciones inmersivas? Eso es como la parte comunicacional, tips para eso. Porque encuentro que igual es como súper exitoso los casos y los números que nos decían hace un rato. Y me gustaría saber más sobre eso, sobre el marketing que hay ahí detrás y las cosas clave y los desafíos y los problemas.
So I think you are bringing a very important point that I maybe didn't mention during the presentation, but everything we do at Phi, mediation is key. We don't want to leave our audience, like by themselves and not to know, for instance, how to wear a VR headset. Like this is something we would never do. So we are our audience is really well taken care of. It's from the beginning, and not only at the Phi Center, also at the foundation. Mediation is key to everything. There's a lot of people that are coming to us and they do virtual reality for the first time. They are scared. Like you give them less and less, but still people that are doing it for the first time. So, like when you hand out a VR headset to somebody that never did VR, there's a little bit of that moment, like, ooh, how do I do what? And you feel vulnerable with a VR headset on your head because people are looking at you. You don't see people. So there's all of that really important. So mediation is one thing that we are really focusing on for our audience. You were talking also about communication and marketing. I mean, we invest a lot of money in marketing for our experiences. This is not my department, but I think for our major project, we invest between 15 and 20% of the budget in marketing to make sure that people are aware of that we are in town. And there is more and more competition in the immersive world, and immersive right now is a word that is used for everything. I mean, you go to a restaurant, it's immersive. You go to a cinema, it's immersive. You go to theater, it's immersive. Like, what does immersive mean? So, but everybody is immersive today, so you need to invest, to make sure that you're standing out the crowd, so more and more. I have to say, because we've been presenting, for instance, virtual reality for over 10 years, I mean, our audience, they know that then when they come to Phi, they know what to expect, so maybe we don't need to, I don't want to say train, but they are aware of what's coming. But it's really important, communication, marketing, mediation, making sure that the audience is well taken care of is really key to experiences. I mean, when you do a virtual reality experience, I always say like the onboarding and the offboarding is as much important as the experience itself. Because if you start with a bad impression, you won't have a good experience in the VR headset, and then you can't wait to remove it and leave. So onboarding is key, experience, offboarding is key, and it's, you know, like it's a all.
Buenas tardes, quisiera preguntar desde el lado comunicacional. En realidad, no, y el lado también estratégico. Acá en Chile, para poder llevar a cabo una bienal, para poder llevar a cabo proyectos de la naturaleza relacionados con el arte en particular, nos financiamos con la Corfoli, donaciones, es mucho más complicado. Y también eso hace más complicado el tema de que el proyecto siga a mediano y largo plazo sin, digamos, tener que postular cada año. Hay un problema en Chile con ese tema. Y bueno, por lo que estoy escuchando también el tema de las cifras con Phi resulta bastante positivo. ¿Cuál sería el modelo estratégico para hacer un proyecto como Phi o incluso ser ejemplo, digamos, para nosotros en Sudamérica, de hacer un proyecto que sea sostenible a largo plazo sin dejando de lado, por ejemplo, el primer financiamiento de parte de la filántropa de Phoebe y la subvención del Estado? ¿Cómo se puede sostener eso a través del tiempo?
That's a big question. It's hard for me to answer because we are privileged, you know. We had somebody that had a vision and that wanted to invest her own money, her own means to make that possible. You cannot believe how many times people asked me, why don't you come and open a Phi Center in my country, in my city? And we go like, no, we're Montreal based. We are happy, you know, that people maybe come to us and we can tell them what we did and how it worked, but we will not go and open Phi Centers all over the world. I don't know how to answer your question because I don't even know if, without Phoebe, would I be here today? Probably not. But yeah, I mean, today it's not only private money anymore because we want to be sustainable. And the project I mentioned earlier, and this is not a secret, you know, like the new project, the new building that I showed you, Phi Contemporary, the total budget is $100 million Canadian. 30% of that amount is public funding. Government money. So 30 million is coming from the government of Canada, government of Quebec, City of Montreal. The rest is private investment. So yeah, I would love to be able to answer that question, but again, we started 100% private, and we are slowly going to another model where we're trying to balance. Are we successful now? Not yet. But this is the goal, to be able to at least being, you know, kif.
Básicamente, sí, aquí hay gente que cuenta historias, historiadores, y hay gente que tiene mucho conocimiento técnico con respecto a VR y otro tipo de experiencias. Mi pregunta era si para postular proyectos en Phi se tienen que hacer como un proyecto completo o puede haber un tipo de combinación donde alguna gente cuenta historias, tiene sus ideas y otras personas trabajan con el proyecto de forma técnica y ambos producen un proyecto en conjunto.
So I'll give you different answers. If your goal is to present a work, for instance, in a group exhibition we are doing at the Phi Center, we don't do calls. Me as a curator, as I said earlier, I'm traveling the world to discover new works from new artists. So we have a residency that is in immersive, and that could be interesting for maybe for your question. The trick is that our immersive residency used to be open to the world, but because we have a new partner that is a foundation based in the US, this new partner asked us to only, at least for this year, open the residency to North America. So the residency for 2026, actually the selection committee is working on reviewing everything right now. We received 250 candidates, so it's like more than what we thought. And it's only open for Canada, US, Mexico, Bermuda, and Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon. But hopefully, our partner will stay with us and will be ready to open to the rest of the world for the second year. They asked us to do this for the first year, and they gave us a lot of support, so we said yes. So maybe check for the next call for the residency, because then you don't need to be a studio. You can be like one person with one idea, and we will help you to produce a prototype. That's what we do with our residency, is really to help an artist, an idea, to go to the prototype level so that you can go after that with funding. That would be really the two answers I could give you. But I'll be happy to talk to you after if you want, and if you have a project, for instance, like I'll be happy to listen to it. And it's really about, I strongly believe in the network and the people you know in the community, and then keeping in touch with the community. Sometimes going to festivals, talk about your project, and if, for instance, for myself, if I hear about a project like in 2 different festivals, I go like, oh, there might be something interesting. So again, it's about the visibility you shed on a project and a lot about the network.
Gracias, Myriam. Gracias por tu generosidad, gracias por tu confianza en venir aquí a Mediamorfosis desde tan lejos. Un aplauso fuerte para Myriam. Nos quedamos con más preguntas. Myriam va a estar con nosotros. Si la encuentran pueden seguir conversando, pero tenemos un menú de conferencias muy largo, así que vamos a dar espacio a la siguiente. Muchísimas gracias.